Hi, my name is Taylor Donnellan, and this is a video for my final project. For the final project, I chose to do the addiction empathy exercise, and what I chose to give up for 48 hours was nicotine. I know that it was recommended that we don't give up something like that, but I really wanted to get the full experience, and that's definitely what happened. I definitely got the full experience. I struggled a little bit definitely throughout the process. Some of the things I struggled with was I got irritable, I got cranky, like my body temperature felt weird, like I'd get super cold and then I'd get super hot. I was super hungry, which is I found to be really interesting. And yeah, luckily my boyfriend was a good sport throughout the whole thing because I was definitely a little snappy, I would say, but I'm glad that I kind of went through all that just to learn about how serious addiction really is and whether it's just giving up nicotine or caffeine compared to giving up heroin or meth, like it's still an addiction. You still have withdrawal symptoms. I don't know how intense it would be for someone who does struggle with harder substance, like with other different like types of substance uses, but it was really hard for me to give up nicotine, and I'm glad it's over, and unfortunately I am continuing to do nicotine, so it's unfortunate, but eventually, hopefully one day, I will make the decision to stop. So I think what I learned about the use of substance is that it's no joke. I have never tried to quit nicotine before. I've just been doing it for a long time, and I've never really thought about stopping up until this assignment, and I thought it would be interesting to do. But it's no joke, and I think that even just like learning about the materials in this class, it's a lot of people struggle with certain types of addictions, whether it's gambling or meth or caffeine. Like there's still all types of addictions, and I think that each type of addiction has its own set of struggles. Um the course content that really came up for me throughout this experience was I thought a lot about other people and what they might go through with their like substance abuse issues, and I really turned to week 3 lecture, the conceptualizing addiction, and I kind of kept looking back on the different models, and I definitely didn't agree with some of the models. The models that I did not agree with were the disease and medical model, because I thought it was interesting how relapses are frowned upon. And as far as the morale model, I didn't like how, it should be punishable for having a relapse. I think that if addiction was so easy to stop, that most people wouldn't be addicted to things, and I think that relapsing is part of the process. So I definitely agreed with the recovery model because I found that to be the most accurate representation of what addiction is and how, you know, stopping addiction or trying to stop being addicted to something. I think that it's pretty clear that people are going to have relapses, and to think otherwise would be pretty insane to me, at least. That's just my personal opinion. So yeah, I think that those models were interesting, and I just kept thinking about, the people who don't have it as lucky, who don't have good support systems, who aren't able to get into, rehab facilities. I know that those can be expensive, and I'm assuming that insurance probably doesn't cover a lot of it. So I think that, people who struggle with addictions, I think that the key thing is you need to have people who can support you throughout the process and who need to understand that relapse is part of recovery, and that's another reason why I like the recovery model. This assignment was definitely interesting to me, and I really enjoyed being able to look back on the content and material throughout this semester so far, because whenever I found myself really struggling or getting anxious or irritable, I just went back through all the models and I would skim through the lectures and I would look at some of the readings, and I specifically looked back on a TED Talk video. I forgot his name, but it was a guy who went to prison for addiction and he ended up leaving prison going to the Olympics, which I mean is so inspiring. And that's not everyone doesn't get that opportunity, but I love that he said that you can change, you just have to want it for yourself and you need a good support system. And so I really enjoyed this assignment. I talked to my grandma about it, my boyfriend knows all about it, and I just found it to be really interesting. And I just, this topic of addiction is very personal for me. My father, he had an addiction and unfortunately he passed away a couple years ago. So, taking this class, I was a little nervous, but I've really enjoyed learning everything and kind of just like the history of addiction and just all the different processes and things that go into recovery as well as addiction. So I really enjoyed this assignment, and I think that it was really helpful to kind of get in the mindset of someone who's going through addiction withdrawals. So yeah, thank you, and I didn't know how long this video needed to be for this assignment. I didn't see that anywhere, but hopefully this is long enough, and if you have any questions or need me to clarify on anything, I'm happy to do so. I don't make videos very often, so hopefully I did okay. But yes, I'm very grateful that I got the opportunity to do this assignment, and I feel that I really learned a lot, and I will definitely be taking things away from this class as well as this assignment. So thank you.